Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my top 4 favorite drugstore foundations. I love drugstore foundations. I have probably more drugstore foundations than I do high-end foundations. I just love drugstore foundations, one, because they're cheaper, which I think is the most important aspect of drugstore foundations, but 2 is that they perform just as well, if not better, than some high-end foundations that I've tried. I am a foundation junkie. I have so many foundations. I've tried probably at least 2,000 foundations in my lifetime. I just really love foundation a lot. So I definitely know which ones I like, which ones I don't like, which are worth the money if it's high-end and which are not. So yeah, drugstore foundations where it's at. So these are my top 4 drugstore foundations. So let's just jump in. So my first drugstore foundation that I love and have loved for, I don't know, maybe like 3 years now, is the Rimmel London Lasting Finish 25 Hour with Comfort Serum Foundation. I love this foundation so much. Number 1, it is so long wearing. So long wearing. I've never worn it for 25 hours. But it would not surprise me if it actually lasts for 25 hours. I've worn it from work at 6 a.m. through a full day of work, through a full day of classes until like 8 or 9 at night, and it still looks good. It doesn't break up. It stays on 12, 13, 14 hours. So 25 hours, I've never done it, but it wouldn't surprise me. So there are 2 downsides to this foundation. One of them is the smell. If you're sensitive to smell, this has a smell. You can smell it. It's like perfumey. You can definitely smell it as you're applying it. But I would say when you have already blended it out, you can't really smell it anymore, and I definitely cannot smell it throughout the day. The smell goes away. But if you are hypersensitive to smell, it's pungent. It really is. It really doesn't bother me though, so I don't mind it. The only other negative is that there are like no shades. None. There's like a total of 5, I think. And this is the darkest shade. Unless you go online, I don't know if there are more online, but I know that at Target or the drugstore or wherever you want to go that sells Rimmel London, this is the darkest shade, and it's 203 True Beige. I don't know, again, if there's more shades online. I would have to look that up, but this is my shade, and it's even a little bit light for me. Like, I could definitely afford to go like a shade darker, but yeah, it's just, the shade range sucks. So I think you would really like this if you are normal or normal to oily, and I would suggest that because honestly it is kind of drying, and not drying in the sense where it sucks all the life out of your face, but drying to the point where it dries down almost to a powdery finish where you may or may not have to set this. But I mean, if you're dry, this really might accentuate any dry patches, dry skin, or any sort of, you know, flaking or anything like that. But if you have problems with your makeup breaking up on you, or breaking apart, slipping, sliding all over the face, this is definitely something that I would recommend. It's a good foundation, it lasts forever, it smells good, it's pretty darn cheap. So the next foundation, let me see if I can find a new one, because this one is rough looking. The next foundation is Soap & Glory's One Heck of a Blot All Day Liquid Powder Foundation with Shine Block 12-hour long wear technology and super blur powders. This is awesome. This is the foundation that I wore in London and Scotland when I was there, and this foundation lasted from like 7 a.m. to like midnight or 1 a.m. It lasted through bar crawls, it lasted through sightseeing, running through the tube. I mean, this is one of my favorite foundations of all time. This dries to a powder, it has a pump. It's pretty darn full coverage. It's probably as close to full coverage as you're gonna get at the drugstore. It has a pretty good shade range. Again, it doesn't really cover all of the shades, but if you can find your shade, try it out. This is a great foundation. It lasts forever. It never gets cakey. And you know what? What's another thing is that I don't have to set this foundation ever with powder. I do not set it. And it's because it's a liquid to powder formula that I don't have to set it. And I have pretty darn oily skin. So if you're in the same boat as me and you find that long wear foundations last not as long as they claim, this is definitely one of them that lives up to its claim, and I don't have to set it. I don't get all oily or slippy slidey. It doesn't settle into my fine lines. It doesn't crease. This is it. This is a really great foundation. Now this one you can find at Target and Ulta, I believe. Otherwise you'd have to find it online because it is a UK based brand. So yeah, I really love this foundation. I've been wearing it probably for 2 years now, and it has never failed me. This is like my go-to summer foundation because it has that liquid to powder formula. It lasts forever. It never breaks down. I just love it. I love it so much. So my next favorite foundation, well, I guess it's really in no particular order, but the next drugstore foundation that I would recommend to almost anybody with any type of skin, whether you're looking for lighter coverage, fuller coverage, medium coverage, you have dry skin, oily skin, you need things to last, or you are just looking for a little bit of color or anything like that, this is probably the most universal foundation for everybody. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Normal to Oily Foundation. I know it says normal to oily, but a lot of dry skin people like this foundation. This foundation makes you look airbrushed in the most natural way possible. This is probably a medium coverage foundation. It's definitely not as high coverage as the Soap and Glory foundation is, but I mean, this will make your skin look like baby skin, like you just came fresh out the womb, and you look like beautiful and flawless, and it just sits so nicely on the skin. It never looks cakey. You can set it with powder, you can not set it with powder. Either way, it looks beautiful. It comes in 100 million shades, not 100 million shades, but it comes in so many different shades. And honestly, this is like one of the best foundations at the drugstore. I would say that this is a foundation that I can't wear as long as I can wear these two foundations, but this one lasts pretty well. It does break up, so if you are super oily or you know you're going to be wearing it for like 12 hours, this is not going to be the foundation for you. But if you're looking for something that can last maybe just a work day or just for a night out or something like that, or if you know that you don't need a lot of coverage, or if you know that you don't really have problems with your foundation breaking up, this is it. It's just, I love it. I love it. And last but certainly not least, is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. Now this one is too dark for me. This is my summer color, and right now it's January. Usually I wear shade 7 Sand, I believe it is. This is 9 Tan, but this foundation is, I take it back that this is the most high coverage. This is the most high coverage drugstore foundation that I have found ever. So my next favorite, and I think this is my #1 favorite from the drugstore, is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. This is my summer color. I know it looks super dark because it is, but usually I wear 7 Sand. This is 9 Tan, but this foundation is the absolute fullest of full coverage foundations that you are gonna find in the universe. Like, this is full coverage. You could cover your entire life with this. And it'll still look beautiful. Now this one is tricky. So if I set it, it'll definitely stay matte, but it does break up at around like the 10-hour mark. So if you know you're gonna be wearing foundation for that long, just maybe bring some touch-up powder or something like that, that you can maybe make this look a little bit more flawless after 10 hours. But I would say most normal people are not wearing foundation for that long. So through a work day, through a night out, this looks beautiful. This is a really good in-between formula. It's not quite matte and it's not quite dewy. It is a really nice satin or natural finish. And it's never let me down. This is just it. This is the best, absolute best drugstore foundation that I've found. I've been wearing it since it came out, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. This is my holy grail, absolute favorite drugstore foundation. And it doesn't have a lot of shades. This seems to be a theme. It doesn't have a lot of shades. I think there's only like, I think 9, tan is the darkest. So there's 9 shades, but I mean, if you can find your shade, or if you can find a shade that you can get away with, try it. This is just like the best full coverage foundation at the drugstore, and it really rivals a lot of the high-end foundations that I have. I mean, so those are my top 4 drugstore foundations. At the minute, those are my absolute favorites. They've been my favorites for I don't know, years now. All of these, I've loved all of these for 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I can't get enough of these. I can't stop repurchasing them. I will continue to repurchase them no matter what comes out in Sephora, Ulta, or other drugstore brands. These are just some of the best foundations on the market constantly. They never let me down. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting or helpful in some way. I hope you are intrigued by one of these products. Let me know what your drugstore favorite foundation is down below, because I would love to check it out. I love foundation. Yeah, and I guess that's it. So thanks for watching. Bye. Why would the mic be on when I did this the first time? Because that would be too easy.